because I know there's a little delay in the live stream, and sometimes I get cut off mid-sentence. But I'm sitting out here by the pool. It's been one of those days, just sitting out hanging out by the pool. It's nighttime now, so now I can crack open a beer. This time it's a Dos Equis. I don't know too much about beer, but Modelo and Dos Equis seems to be what they drink here in Las Vegas. So, salute. And Cherie and I were just sitting back and just talking. Oh my God, it's 10 o'clock already. Anyways, we were sitting back and talking about the meaning of life. And I thought, hey, this would make a great little video, a great little live stream. What is the meaning of life? Of course, there's many, many, many different meanings to life. It all depends on the individual. But at the core of everything, what I think it comes down to is experience. That's what all this is about. I have been on this journey for 12,000 years. 1,000 times 10, I have descended um, the, the dark ways that led into the light. If that's the quote, I don't remember it off the top of my head. But anyways, yeah, 1,000 times 10, I have descended the dark ways that led into light. And now that I am about to descend again, I don't remember. Anyways, my journey has been one of 12,000 years, and as such, I started to realize that it's all about the experience. It's the experience. And Sheree and I were talking, and she's like, "Have you read Ecclesiastes? Ecclesiastes or Ecclesiastics? Ecclesiastes, I think is how you say it." And I said, "Yeah, a long time ago. I really don't remember." And she said, "Well, basically, what he's basically saying in that book, the Bible, which I'm not a big fan of, but she says, he's basically saying the exact same thing that you're saying, is that it's all experiences. It's all, there's a time for this, a time for that, and it's all cycles that we just go through. And as we go through these cycles, everything that has happened will happen and will happen again in cycles. And we go through all of these different life experiences for one reason or another to get to a certain place in the time space, which I found myself to be the case in this particular lifetime, or we go through it just to experience different incarnations. And I'm thinking back, and I've experienced everything that there is to experience in this matrix, not just in this life, but in many other lives before. I have done it all, I have seen it all, I've been the worst of the worst, I've been the best of the best, I've experienced duality to its fullest degree. And in my opinion, one of the things that differentiates people out there is the way that they view the material world. I was actually reading an article, and it said the difference between rich people and poor people, how they think. And rich people invest in experiences. Poor people invest in material objects, flat screen TVs, toys, things like that. It's funny, I was watching a Dr. Phil thing that just happened to be just passing by my YouTube channel, and the guy got like $1 million, and he was mad at his wife because they had blown it all. And when Dr. Phil went through all the stuff, all of the expenses, she wound up spending like $30,000, and he wound up blowing the rest on like four-wheelers and a motorcycle and a truck upgrade and all kinds of nonsense like that. And he put all the numbers in front of him, and he's like, "You're mad at your wife for blowing this $1 million that you guys got, but you put it all in depreciating assets. You didn't invest it, you didn't do anything like that. So what it comes down to is you just don't know how to manage money, and that's it." And the look on the guy's face was kind of priceless, because it's true. They weren't really managing their money right. But this isn't about money. This is about the mindset of enjoying life, enjoying experiences. So a rich person, for example, would value taking a trip somewhere and having the experience of going out and seeing another part of the world over going and buying some kind of toy or something like that. And growing up, I remember my father, he went to Greece and to Egypt during their honeymoon, and because my mother was like, that's what she wanted to do. But that's it. He never really traveled anywhere else in the world at all, period. He never went to go see anything or anything like that. And the aha moment for me, as I've mentioned before, was when I was sitting in his office one day, and he was working for this oil company, and he was on like the 35th story or something like that. Let's call it the 33rd story because that'll be even better for that. But I don't remember what story it was. I know it was 30 something. He was sitting on the 33rd story, and he says, "You know, I've been staring out this window for 33 years now." And I said, "I do not want to do that. I don't want to come towards the end of my life or even the middle of my life and say I have been staring out of this window for the last 35 years." So for me, the meaning of life has always been experiences, psychedelic experience, sexual experience, the food, the tastes, people, you know, the thing I learned from living out in the middle of nowhere is that it's not necessarily connecting with Earth, even though that's what a lot of people would have you believe, and it might work for some people, going out in the middle of nowhere and connecting with Earth. The thing is, what I realized though, is that it's about having quality people around and interacting with quality people, interacting with people that uplift you, interacting with people that elevate you and that raise your frequency in many different forms. You know, it could be, you know, they're just fun people to be around, so you like to go out and have a drink with them. Or it's people that show you new things or teach you new things or all of that. But out in isolation, out in the middle of nowhere where Cherie and I were for many years of this journey, it was nice to be out in nature, but we realized it was the people that were the most important, and the quality of people and the connection with other people. And that comes second, in my opinion. Or that comes, you know, the connection with Earth comes second to the connection with people. Because if you can't connect with people, you can't connect with Earth, in my humble opinion. And you're missing like a huge, huge, huge part of what this life is all about. So that's my little message out there. Enjoy everything that you need to enjoy, and it's about the experience and what type of experiences are you having. 2020 really taught us a lot because a lot of our experiences were just taken away from us just like that, or our ability to have all of these experiences. And you know what's funny is like you don't really appreciate something until it's gone. It's just like some kind of like psychological thing that we have. And like as soon as you go on a diet, you're like, hey, I'm going on a diet. Then all of a sudden you start craving stuff that you haven't eaten in months. But just the fact that you told yourself in your mind, hey, sweetie pie, are you going to come out here?
Yeah, I'm looking for
Just,
a lighter.
just the fact, here, I have a lighter right here.
Okay.
Just the fact that you said, I'm going to go on a diet. Now all of a sudden you're craving all these things that you weren't really necessarily craving before. It's just like 2020, the way everything was taken away, shut down, small little things like just being able to walk into the store and see a smiling face.
Yep.
I mean, this is really, in my opinion, Mrs. Gio has joined us.
Hey guys.
This is really, in my opinion, torture. And this is what they do to prisoners, isolation. I mean, you know, I was just watching, there's this YouTube channel I watch called Infograph, I think. They do like this cartoon kind of depictions to like all these different stories of like serial killers and different things
True
like
life
that,
stories.
true life stories, yeah. And they were talking about El Chapo, the drug dealer, and how he's in a supermax prison. And that supermax prison, he's isolated 23 and a half hours a day. The prison is built in a way to where you can't even hear the other prisoners from next door. You can't communicate with anybody. There's 2 layers of doors, one concrete door and then another bar door. You tap on the walls and they're soundproof.
Yeah.
And it's complete and total isolation.
That's
And
cool.
you only have a view of a little window looking out, and all you see is the roof of the prison. So you're disoriented. You don't know where you are or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's hardcore isolation. And that's reserved for like the supermax prison that he's in was in Colorado, and that's where that kid who did the Boston bombing is. That's where Terry Nichols is from the Oklahoma City situation. Several other high profile, really, really high profile people, criminals are there in that supermax prison. I know John Gotti, when they arrested him, they put him in Merriam, in Illinois, I think it is, and that's what they do to like mob bosses and people like that is they put them 23 and a half hours isolation, no human contact. You go out for half an hour, and that's it. You're in a 7 by 10 cell. Very little TV. Like TV is like something that's like, um, if you behave, they'll give you a TV and they'll take it away. I was watching in the case of El Chapo, how the only TV that he can watch is either religious programming, educational programming, or prison sanctioned programming, and that's it.
Yeah.
He didn't have access to anything else. So the isolation, the lack of looking at facial expressions, all of that, this has been psychological torture on the entire world on a worldwide scale. And so I don't fault anybody for being fucked up out there or anything like that from all of this. But my point of saying all this is that when you have all that taken away from you, then all of a sudden you have much more of an appreciation for it after the fact. And that's the game they're playing right now. As I said in the previous video, they're undoing the lockdowns a little bit, loosening them up, pushing them back, loosening them up, pushing them back. And it's just a psychological torture that they're implementing on the entire world. But at the end of the day, it's about the experiences. So, are you going out there and having good experiences?
Right.
What's your focus?
Right.
Is your focus on material stuff? Is your focus on experiences? What do you think?
Right, exactly. I noticed there was a big shift about 3 months into the lockdowns of 2020, and that was
I
around
think I'll have a cigarette
like
with you.
May of last year. May, June, people really started to it's really started to affect people in a negative way. The initial shock and awe. I'm not going to say the word that they used to invoke a Sumerian goddess,
Shekinah.
Shekinah. The shock and awe of March through May had kind of worn off, and at that point, when the adrenaline wears off, then the depression starts to kick in, and the anxiety starts to kick in, and the worry about what are I going to do about the kids during the summer? What are they going to go back to school in the fall? What's going to happen? The whole uncertainty aspect of it started to bother those to whom uncertainty is their biggest fear. That their biggest fear was realized. For people whose biggest fear was isolation, their biggest fear was realized. A lot of people had to face their darkest and deepest fears last year, and then those that came out of it with that mindset that Chris has, where hey, it's not about what you have, it's about the experiences you have. It's not about how much money you have, it's about the experiences that you because whenever you leave this place, you don't leave the only thing you leave with is your consciousness. And if your consciousness is devoid of anything but, well, I had an Xbox 360 before anybody else did.
That's really good.
You can't take anything with you.
That's really good. You can't take it with you.
You can't take your Xbox 360 with you. Yeah, where you're going, you don't want to. Anyway.
All you can take with you is your experiences, your memories, your connections with people,
The love.
your pride, and
The love in your
and
heart.
and the love in your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were telling me about Ecclesiastes.
Ecclesiastes, people are always quoting, there's a time to be born and a time to die, a time to sow, a time to reap, all of that. Yeah, that's in Ecclesiastes, it is. But guess what's also in Ecclesiastes? Life's meaningless. There is no meaning. There's no meaning to life because whatever's happened before is happening now, and it'll happen again. And there's nothing new under the sun, is what it says. Nothing new under the sun. If there's something that people are saying, wow, look at this is going on, it's not a big deal because it's happened before. It just happened in a different way, and it'll happen again in a slightly different way. So why be prideful? Why be sad? Why be happy? Why be anything? Why be alive? What's the point? What's the point of living?
That's how this whole video started.
You know?
We were talking about what's the point of all this? Is there
Yeah.
a point? The world is like a ride in an amusement park, and it goes up and down and round, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. There's some people that have been on the ride for so long that they remember, and they come back to us and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because it's just a ride. And we kill those people. Shut him up. I have a lot invested in this ride. Y'all know the whole spiel.
Yeah. Yes, we do, because I mean we all come from the same ilk. You know, we're all of the same type. We're all of the same soul family here, and our soul family's getting older and wiser and also tireder. You know, like I don't know. I feel like there's not. I feel a lot like that Ecclesiastes thing. It's like there's nothing new.
Much love to Alaska. I see much love for you too from Alaskan Girl. That's one place I've always wanted to go to. I don't know why. I've always wanted to go to Alaska. I think maybe we should do that.
You want to go to Alaska?
Yeah, I want to. I want to experience the winters there, where it's all nighttime all the time. Oh, that'd be so cool. But also you know the summers too.
The summer, yeah.
And we can go see like grizzly bears and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, let's go during the summer then, and we can see grizzly bears, and then, yeah, you and the grizzly bears can stay there for the winter, but I don't know if I can do another winter up, you know, above the 50th, what was it, the 56th parallel?
Yeah, Dan says
No
been
way.
living in Alaska for 7 years now.
You like it?
Yeah.
That's what we want to
I don't know if I could do that. I can
don't-
handle
I
the
don't think I
snow.
could
I
do
get
it.
really triggered by snow now.
Yeah, me too.
After living in Washington.
I
But
hate snow.
you know, I know that we went to Syros and it was really cool.
Yeah.
It was a little island out in the middle of the Mediterranean. But after about 2 or 3 days, I was like, I need land, you know. So I'm wondering, and you guys have been out there, but I'm wondering if that would be the same thing. Like after a few days of not having sunlight, if you
You'll
start
start
to
doing
feel
this.
like, hey, I need sunlight, I need sunlight, I need the night and day transitions.
Yeah.
You know.
The transitions are what makes people go crazy when they're in isolation. It's the lack of transition, the lack of being able to tell what time of day it is huge. That's hugely detrimental to your biological clock.
California's banning bacon. That's
You can't
part of
ban
defunding the police.
Bacon. You are so bad. That is so bad. Oh.
That's code for defunding the police. All right. Anyways. So yeah, that's what we were talking about, the meaning of life and experience.
Mhm. That's all it's about.
So go experience what you can while you can.
Yep.
You know.
And with those that you can experience it with and appreciate it with fully.
Yeah. I don't think I would have survived these lockdowns if we were up there
Oh.
in the middle of nowhere. The thing that kept me going was DoorDash.
Yeah, DoorDash and the fact that it.
and the fact that we have really cool neighbors.
Yeah, we have.
And we
really
would
cool
hang
people
out with our
here.
neighbors, and we'd still go like to the strip, even though there were very few people there, which I kind of preferred in hindsight. I'm like, yeah, no, this is
it
actually
was
pretty
less
nice.
crowded.
Here. Less crowds and everything like that, but there were still people out there walking around, not afraid. But it made it bearable.
Yeah, it made it
Unintended.
bearable.
Bearable. I saw a video of some bears. They were in California, as a matter of fact.
That was really cute.
And the whole family, Mama Bear and her cubs, decided to go swimming in somebody's pool. And you just see them all just hanging out. And the bear crawls in, first lets the cubs in, and then she crawls in backwards really slowly, and then she sits back like that. And she's just chilling on the side of the pool.
Nice.
And the little cubs are swimming around and splashing
Aw.
around.
I wish they would do that here. That'd be so cute.
No, they would get our cats.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they'd eat the cats. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That poor dog was scared to death.
Yeah. He was like, hey, what's that in my backyard?
That poor dog's thinking, I can't take
Now,
on all of them.
I saw another video where a bear came up to the porch and the cat ran the bear off.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They don't fuck around.
Yeah, cats are very protective of their space. And ours have been very protective of our space.
Yeah.
So.
So, it's all about the experience.
Hmm.
Have you experienced everything that you need to? If not, go do it.
Yes.
Because time is running short.
That's our only guarantee.
I'll die on my feet if I can't live free.
That's why I always sleep with this AR-15.
Can't say that on YouTube anymore.
Oops.
You know,
That's the
I
violence.
saw something today. It was on Tucker. And they're trying to make the Second Amendment racist. Like, it's racist to have guns. And so, there was a guy on there, and he was really pro-gun guy, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, you know, that's... If you can paintbrush the Second Amendment as racist, then you can just attack it just like that. You know, you don't have to worry about gun control. You don't have to worry about anything like that. But in actual fact, what's really racist is gun control in and of itself, because the people that need guns the most, the people that are living in the inner cities, are the ones who are being deprived of the guns. You know, the ones who are living in high crime neighborhoods where they need to protect themselves. And criminals are running around like in Chicago and everywhere else.
Yeah.
And they're running the whole neighborhood.
And they're armed to the teeth.
And they're armed to the, yeah.
While the law-abiding citizens are screwed because they're law-abiding citizens. Yeah, that's terrible.
Like, I understand that these liberals up at the top, they understand their logic is all fucked. I understand that. But just the average person out there that's pushing gun control, that's pushing critical race theory, that's pushing all of that stuff, how can they be so... I don't want to use the word stupid, but that's the only word that I can think of to describe it.
Foolish.
How can they be so foolish to push an agenda like that? Like, criminals are going to suddenly go, oh, well, you know, this is a gun-free zone, so, you know, we're not...
Oh, I better
You know,
get my
we
gun.
already have laws
Yeah.
for, like, you know, murder and armed robbery and, you know, stuff like that. So the criminals aren't going to just say, oh, well, you know, this is a gun-free zone, so I better leave my
I
gun
better
in the
follow
car.
the law.
You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was just watching JP, Awake with JP again. Great channel. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And it's got a feminist, a liberal, critical race theory, and then logic. And he's playing all the characters, and they're going back and forth about how to solve the problems of the world. And critical race theory was like, you know how we can solve racism? He's like, we can solve racism by teaching people that one skin color is better than the other. And the logic comes back, and he's like, that's the very definition of racism. He goes, no, it's not. And he's like, yeah, that's literally the textbook definition of racism right there. You just said it word for word, the way it's in the dictionary. And they're just going back and forth in all these different ways. It was pretty funny. But man, it makes my head spin when I think of the mental gymnastics that they go through with critical race theory,
They
with
would have to.
gun control, with, you know, everything that they're pushing. And here's the thing. I don't think that the majority of people out there are buying it. I don't. Just like I don't believe that the majority of people out there are getting vacations. We've been using vacations as, you know, the new word now, the hush-hush word. But I just read an article today saying that Biden has achieved his 70% vacation goal. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. But you know what? I can proudly say that I have had no side effects from the vacation myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I haven't taken one.
People would say we do need to take
I'm
a
side effect
vacation.
free.
But we're side effect free because we are vacation free.
I read another post, another tweet. It was just a random tweet, and it said, you know, I see a lot of people out there that are unvacationated, and they're just running around and they're perfectly healthy. And I see a bunch of vacationated people, and they're constantly getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what's going on here.
Yep.
You had an interesting point that you brought up about the way this thing transfers, like when you're around a vacationated person,
Yeah.
and it transfers through the spike stuff. You know? And then you showed me some Westworld stuff too.
Yeah, okay. So in the season finale of Westworld, they the programmers figure out a way to take an NPC robot person, and they upload a virus into their consciousness that spreads through just being in proximity to that NPC character that has that virus uploaded, and it's Clementine, and she's like this sweet girl. That's usually this sweet girl, but she's been uploaded with this virus, so she's like a zombie, brain dead zombie with this virus uploaded to her. All she has to do is come within 10, 15 feet of these other people, quote unquote people that are actually robots, and they get infected with this virus. They start attacking each other and murdering each other instead of doing what? Instead of trying to escape the Matrix, instead of trying to get out of the Matrix, instead of trying to get through this doorway.
Season 1?
Season 2.
Season 2, okay.
Trying to get through this doorway to another world where there is no slavery, where they don't have to be sex slaves or slaves of any kind anymore. And instead of focusing on that, this virus makes them attack each other. And what's interesting about that is I think that this virus works the same way, in that we were talking about how Tyler is uploaded through the vacation into a person's body the same way that what did we compare it to? There was a really good analogy.
Well, the way that I see it, it's a digital code.
Yeah.
And it's a code that gets uploaded to consciousness. I've said this from the very beginning about the bullshit 19.
Yeah.
That it's a mind virus. It's
Okay.
a fear virus.
Right.
We know that the virus in the Matrix, the virus,
The
not the
virus,
bullshit
the
19
one that
virus,
we're
but
really
the
fighting.
virus. From the very beginning, when we identified it in 2016, we realized it feeds on fear.
Yeah.
And it feeds on suffering. So when it came up to the surface and it was exposed, we saw a couple different things happening at that time. Number one, the entire world all of a sudden in that fear frequency. Number two, we saw some of the pizza related stuff getting tied into it too. I don't know if you guys and gals remember back in April or May of 2020, but it was Bill Gates who was at the head of all this, and he was really pushing for the vacations on people. At the exact same time, like, you can't make this stuff up. At the exact same time, he had Marina Abramovic doing a virtual reality simulation of her artwork, and they were trying to release this on Windows Mixed Reality. So you can plug yourself into this headset and go through her art exhibitions. You know who Marina Abramovic is. She's really, really, really heavily tied in with the pizza-related stuff.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, I don't mean to make this dark, but I'll be very, very light with what I'm saying. They funneled the money for all of this stuff through the artwork. And that's why we have pieces that are like $10 million. I mean, there was just this piece that just sold just recently, which was a figment of the imagination. There was no art piece. It was just a figment of the imagination, and it sold for like $30,000 or something like that. So, and it was nothing at all, period.
Fair.
But this is the way that they funnel the money for all their stuff. So, and you see this in the movie Hostel too.
Yeah.
When they kidnap the kids, and they tell them, "Hey, where's my friends? Where's my friends?" They're at the art show.
They're at the art show.
I'm taking you to the art show. I'm taking you to the art show. You know, that was disclosed in there. But during this whole time of this virus coming up, this ethereal virus we're talking about now, coming up to the surface, Bill Gates thought it was a good idea to get Marina Abramovic and do a virtual reality simulation where you put a headset on and walk around through her exhibits.
Through her death cult exhibit.
Now, people went fucking crazy, and they shut it down.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. But this was happening like May or
Yeah, it was about
April or
April,
May
May.
of 2020 during all of these lockdowns. So it goes to show the fear virus that we're talking about here, the BS19 virus, gets into people's minds and it feeds on the fear, because it was no longer being fed through the normal lanes, so it needed to come to the surface and plant into the consciousness. And then they were even trying to take it a step further, where they were now tying in the energies of the pizza-related stuff into people's consciousness
Mm-hmm.
and implanting the virus like that into people's consciousness
Right.
through virtual reality technology. Now, are you telling me this is all just one big fucking coincidence?
No, there's no way.
So back to what you were saying,
So this
is this is a mind virus,
Mhm.
and it feeds on the fear. So
And there's two different things about this that I noticed that are very interesting. Number one, of course, you got the spike proteins, the same spike proteins that you see on HIV-1, because there are three different types of HIV. There's type 1, type 2, and type 3. And type 1 is the original 1957, I think it is, or 1959. The 1959 sample of HIV-1 has spike proteins on it that are extremely, like uncannily is what the term was used, uncannily similar to what we see on this bullshit 19 virus. The same spike proteins are there, and those have
little
to do
shits
with.
caught a mouse,
Damn it!
and they just ran in the
And they
house
just
with
ran
it.
in the house with it.
I
Damn
saw it in
it.
Bastet's mouth.
Gross.
I'm sorry.
I told you shouldn't let him out.
She's
tonight.
so proud of herself.
She is so proud of
Okay.
herself. That poor thing.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So same spike proteins, which affect the transmissibility of it, meaning everybody's going to catch this thing. You know, that can come into contact with it is going to either. It's not that it's just going to not affect them at all. It's either going to affect them and make them sick, or it's going to affect them and they carry it. So okay, then the second thing I want to mention here is that there is a phenomenon where women who are around each other for a couple months
You need to avoid keywords.
start to develop. I thought I said bullshit.
Oh yeah, you did, but I'm just reminding you.
Okay. Women that are around each other for a couple months or so, they start to get on the same schedule with their periods, and this seems to be the same phenomenon where people that are around people who have been vacationed, are developing vacation symptoms, the same symptoms of what people vacation for.
I experienced it firsthand myself. I talked about, I don't know if the video's still on YouTube or if it's on our Patreon, patreon.com/btvtribe. But I went and I got a massage from somebody who was on vacation, and my auric field was just all jacked up.
Yeah.
And we had to do some serious work. And the thing is, I don't go in for just regular make me feel good massages. I go in to energy healers. So I'm not going to go in with my shields up, because they're purposefully, I'm there to have my energy worked on. And I don't think she did it intentionally, but there was definitely a digital transfer of energy, and I could see it in my work field. And it was large, pixelated digital energy that was attached to me. So the working hypothesis is that on an ethereal level, these vacations are injected into people's credit cards when they go to Expedia, and then they're releasing all of this digital code that's inside of them to other people who have not gone on vacation, and they start to absorb some of that too.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Yeah.
that's the case, that's pretty fucking sinister.
Now there's the question is, does it affect one type of consciousness the same as our type of consciousness? Organic consciousness? Is organic consciousness affected the same way as a non-organic consciousness? I don't think so. I think there's a hierarchy of consciousness, and that nothing gets above us.
I would have to
Yeah.
agree with you on that, because we were able to take care of it from my auric field with no problem.
Oh yeah, no problem.
So as long as you're able to identify it, you can take
Yeah.
care of it. And then I wonder too, if somebody who is organic and goes on vacation and
Mhm.
gets all that code intertwined with their auric field, if they can also remove it too.
I think they can.
And I know that a lot of the airline tickets that they were doing turned out to be nothing, like they were fake.
Oh yeah.
And they were actually doing double blind studies
Uh-huh.
using fake ones and real fake vacations and real vacations,
Uh-huh.
and seeing if the fake vacations worked as well.
And they did.
And then they're also saying too that a lot of people in the United States and all over the world have actually received the fake vacations,
Uh-oh.
which are like, you know,
Water.
They don't basically water sailing,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Sailing.
and that's it. They're just sailing around the world, you know.
Sailing around.
And other people have received the real vacations. So that could explain too why some people have adverse effects to vacations and other people don't. It's all a big fucking mess, man.
It's all a joke.
It's like when you really start to like think about this. I mean, number one, you know, we have to talk in code. That's a joke in and of itself. You know, number two, the way things are being implemented, and number three, all the different variables to this equation. It's just like a jumbled fucking mess of bullshit.
Mhm.
And I saw somebody else post 22 hours ago on Twitter something that I've been saying for a while. What we're watching right now is not the acts of people who are in charge. It's not the acts of people who have won. It's not the acts of people who are in power. It's the acts of desperation. And we're watching desperate measures being taken all over the world in order to try to clutch at these straws of control, when in actual fact, they're slipping away from their hands very, very, very fast. So my last video didn't really leave anything too hopeful at the end, because I was just kind of pondering my own existence and my own journey. What seems to be a recurring theme for the day today. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think there is a little bit of hope, and I think what we're watching is desperation, not victory or an acquisition of control. It's they're attempting to grab it. Does
Right,
that
they're
make
trying
sense?
not to lose control. It's
Yeah.
not that they have control. It's that they're clutching onto it and trying not to lose it, but they are losing it, and that's why they're acting like this. If they were winning, they would be strutting. They're not strutting. They're desperately clutching and grasping and saying, "Well, this is mine, and this is mine, and this is mine, and this is mine." It's like, why do you
Yeah.
need to be? Who needs to say how awesome they are, like and be like that? Nobody has ever. The Orange Man never had to be like this. He never had to grasp at power. He never had to try to do anything that he wanted to do. He just did it because, number one, anything he ever wanted to do, it always seemed to be the right thing that the people wanted him to do anyway. And number two, he did it in a way that was helpful for everyone up and down the line. What this guy's doing is unbeneficial for 99% of humanity, and that's why it's being done the way it's being done, and that's why the media has to keep, going over and over and over again with the lie, because it's desperation. It's just pure desperation at this point, because they know they've already lost power.
Yeah.
I think they've already lost.
I mean, in my
You know it.
opinion, the censorship is one of the most telling things, because if something is so ridiculous, then most people aren't going to believe it.
Right.
So there's no harm in it being said, because most people are going to go, any critical thinking person's going to go, oh, that's ridiculous.
It's the ravings of a lunatic.
Right. But when you're covering up something, you've got to go to extreme measures, so much so that you even expose your own hand in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
And they've exposed their hands over and over and over again.
Yeah.
These aren't acts of conquest. They're acts of desperation.
Right.
And losing power.
Right, exactly.
We'll see how things go.
I think it's
I guess,
great.
back to what I was talking about in the beginning of this, the meaning of life. Experiences. Remember that. Experiences over material objects.
Mm-hmm.
Go out and enjoy whatever it is that you enjoy. And people is, I think, very, very, very important. Quality people to be around, community, love, friendship, connection, and that's what we have with each and every one of you out here
Yeah.
on Beyond the Veil. Like I said in the last video, we try to create a place of community where we can think freely and speak freely. And the speaking freely part hasn't really been working out too well here on this platform, but that's why we have the Patreon, patreon.com/BTV Tribe. But the thinking part, they can never take that away from us. So,
That is always free.
yeah. Kiss the one you love right now. You never know the last time it's going to be. Oh, here she comes. Little murderess.
Little murderess. Where's your mouse? Let's go find your
She
mouse.
left it in the
She
living
left
room.
it in the living room.
Dead
For us.
on the floor
Yummy.
for Daddy to come get it.
Aw.
Well, come here, baby girl.
I'm trying to kiss the one I love. You never know when the last time it's going to be. You
They're
really
enjoying
don't.
being nighttime kitties.
They love being nighttime.
All right.
Love you
guys
guys.
and girls.
We'll see you even further
Beyond
beyond
the
the
veil.
veil.